Welcome back to Bits and Boards today. I'm Anthony Krolikowski, and we've certainly had a nice, diverse crowd of people who've come through. We've had the card shows, the card shops, the esports teams, everything in between, game developers, and we're actually getting a nice little backlog here of episodes that we've been building up, and we're still trying to air them once a week. We've been able to do that, but we're getting so many people on, and that's a great thing, right? That we've got a little backlog just in case we got some downtime or breaking news happens or all that fun stuff. And today's guest that we have is going to give us a little more fun, local, capital region, Albany specifically, event action. So I'm here with Bill Robson. He's the host of Geek and Gaymer, and if you look really close, there is a Y in there.
Yes.
So Bill, just first, thanks for joining me in the afternoon here, but just give me a little bit of background on how this came to be and, where it's located.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me here. Geek and Gaymer actually started just over 10 years ago. It's been at Rock's Bar in 77 Central Ave in Albany the entire time. We started off on Thursday nights. The bar owner didn't really have an event for that night, wanted to fill it in with something. And at the time, my friend Jimmy Cups worked there, and he, along with his friend Isaac, started Geek and Gaymer Night. And I've only been going for 9 years, so that first year they were running it without me, about once a month, and then moving on to once a week. And I've been going personally, just first starting as like a participant going there for 9 years, which was so great to find that like fun, loving gaming community and just join and have a great time, making some great friends. And it was around the pandemic, actually, when I started helping out online, running things for them, that I started actually helping hosting, and then hosting when we came back in person. Since then, the two founders have kind of stepped down at different times for personal reasons. So now I'm running the night along with two new hosts, which aren't here with me today, Ben and Tessa. So we're keeping the game night alive after 10 years. We've moved to Wednesday nights from 8 to 12.
And just having a space like this for, the queer community here, just tell me about the uniqueness of this. Because, I've talked about esports arenas that we have now locally and, the board game cafes, but it's all a broad audience here, right? So, how have you seen this, grow, and what is the space like there for you?
So, yeah, I love the space that we have because it's a little bit unique. There's the people that come to the bar for the bar scene, and then that doesn't always overlap with the gaming scene. The gay bar scene.
That is true. I don't drink. I it's just not really my favorite thing, but I've gone to Rocks for judging the pet costume contest that we had.
Oh yeah.
There's maybe only one dog that showed up, but that's okay. We had a fun time, right? And it's just nice to get out of the house though still. And even though you might not enjoy alcohol or, maybe just nightlife too much, it's a nice way to get out of the house and you're still in that setting, but it's just adjacent.
Yeah, it's adjacent. It's on a Wednesday night. It's not during a big party weekend time normally. So it's not always like crowded and packed like with loud music. I mean, we do have music going on in the background, but there's not always performances. Although we are actually partnering with someone next week because it's right before Thanksgiving to do a little mini drag show. But that's not typically our nights. But so it's a nice, calm environment. If you're not a big drinker, you can still get a soda. You can get a mocktail. Come and enjoy the games with us and make new friends.
And when it comes to what you have there, right? So obviously we can see in the pictures here, you got, I think it's the Switch going on with the NES collection with the Mario game.
Yes.
I have some eyesight still here these days, but just tell me about, is it just you already have stuff and people come in? Is it a mixture of people bringing their own games and set it up? How organized is this sort of space?
So yeah, it's a little bit of a mixture. We'll always have a game going on the TV screens, video game projector. Typically, just because popular by what people want, a game like Smash Bros. Or Mario Kart, something people can kind of just come up and play. But we also have like old retro games, other things. I think tonight my plan is to bring Wii Bowling, which we haven't done in forever. We have some board games, some card games we bring, but we also encourage people bring your own game. If there's a game you want to play with friends, if you want to have people try this game with you, bring it. It's open to anyone if they want to bring a game for everyone to play.
Wii Bowling is surprisingly a cult classic in some spaces. I was judging a land convention, Capital Land in Troy, earlier this year, and it gets pretty heated. They have a Wii bowling competition, and there's teams and everything, and they take it pretty seriously. So, but obviously, this is more of a casual setting here. You've told me. So, when it comes to what people are playing and how that works, just give me the skill levels here, what you're looking for to bring to instill in this community.
So, I mean, the main point of the night is to have fun. It's not really a competitive night. We're not looking like, oh, you got to come here and like kick everyone's butt. It's come here, play games, meet, bring some friends, bring your friends, play games with them in the setting, or meet new people, meet new friends. It has been such a great way for people to connect and make friendships. I know I personally have made some lifelong close friends that I never would have made without this space.
And when people think of bars, at least when I think of them, it was more the older generation or my parents' generation, your way of, meeting somebody to date, right? And when it came time for that point in my life, it was the apps. And just social interaction can be certainly a scary thing. But like you just said, making friends here, is that more with a focus, more than like the dating aspect of the bar, or is that kind of intertwined as well? How does that all play into the picture?
It's not really a set focus either way. I think friendships just tend to happen in this group more naturally, although I have known people that have met and have dated through this as well. So it is a good way to connect that isn't just the apps. And it's nice to meet people in this kind of setting. And, like as far as the bar scene, I think people are like such a picture in their mind of it like being like sleazy, dark, or all drunks. And no, this is a fun, lighthearted night with like people who love gaming. Any kind of gaming, from board games, card games, video games, or, even just random geeky things like superhero movies, just other likewise friends you can talk with and find a shared interest.
Now, from the pictures you did share with me, obviously, like Mario Bros, it's a classic. It's enjoyable. It's you take your turn, you eventually die right in the game, and then you switch off the controller to somebody else. So it's a very universal one. But out of everything that you host there and features, is there anything that really sticks out to you that's something that the queer community enjoys specifically, or has really clung to compared to maybe something else that you've offered?
Honestly, the two games that always come up people want to play are Smash Brothers and Mario Kart. Those are like the two main games. Even if I have had like, hey, this is our theme for the month. We're playing, fighting games. Like we're playing Mortal Kombat. People enjoy that. But oftentimes, like halfway through the night, someone's like, oh, can we put on Smash Bros? Or if I haven't had it up for a week, people are like, why aren't we playing Smash Bros anymore? So
I used to be a very big Smash Bros fan when it first came out on the Switch. I played it through like every single one. Now, when I was a kid, it was the Wii. So I had the Wii one, but I also played like the N64 one through Virtual Console, it was called back then, when you would buy it and you download it on. But it's definitely like, regardless of the space or whatever the scene is, right? Like video games are a very universal thing that obviously a variety of people can play and really relate to. When it also comes to games, though, people think, oh, well, it's an online thing, so maybe why would I want to come in person or meet? But we've seen esports arenas pop up. You mentioned before when there was COVID, you had the online scene where you still organized events and it was through an online, network. Explain to me kind of what you did during COVID to still keep it up and running, then also just why people might still want to come out and meet in person to play something they might be able to play online with strangers or maybe people through Discord or any of those other, social apps that they can talk on.
Oh, yeah. Discord is what we use. We still kind of have a Discord going where we'll chat and plan events, sometimes outside of the bar night, trying to see movies. But we would have our weekly game night virtually on Discord. And we fell on like the games that you heard a lot during the pandemic, like Among Us we were doing, Jackbox games. We did a lot of Jackbox games, which we've actually now started doing again. First Wednesdays of the month, we do Jackbox nights because people like those. And it is fun to kind of do them online with people you don't know or know a little bit. But in person, you can get a lot of laughter over answers people put in those kind of games. For anyone who doesn't know the Jackbox games, you put them on a screen and anyone can join in on their phone. So, like, they'll put in, really crazy kind of answers that will just have me laughing as I'm on the mic trying to present and, like, host the night.
The barrier to entry to play games can be pretty low. It can also be, pretty high depending on the difficulty. But like you mentioned, Smash Bros, maybe Mario Kart, even Jackbox, you're logging in on your phone, you're just picking up a controller and maybe just pressing the A button to go get, gas, break your item, whatever.
Oh yeah.
When I'm talking to, friends or people around my age group, maybe they consider, the Rocks like the older gay bar, and then there's Waterworks across the street that might be a younger crowd, right? But obviously, like I've said, gaming is universal, and you can be any age and play Tetris or Mario or whatever it may be. But what have you found when it comes to the crowd that you've brought in and the variety of ages, or just from the younger generation to the older generation, and how they've been able to mesh and enjoy these events in game?
Yeah, there's a wide variety of it's not just all the older group there. It's not just younger generations either. There's a mixture. I mean, just the friends and people in the group. There's age ranges of decades between them, and it's fun and interesting because even I'm talking about the old games I played growing up. And people are like, oh, yeah, I love those retro games. I'm like, oh, yeah, they're retro now. But, even the younger generation who maybe didn't grow up with those games still love the classics, And we also love the older generation loves exploring the new games coming out, too.
It's crazy to think for me, it was Pokemon was something I really played a lot. And just that the Pokemon DS games are 20-some years old now. And it's like, it is now the retro thing. And just thinking even now what is 3D, the 3D era, that stuff is 15-some years old now too. So it's just, it's easy to lose track of time and I don't know, feel old all of a sudden with the things that you like.
You're saying the DS games, oh, no, I started with the Game Boy games.
Yeah. My dad used to do the arcades, I wish those kind of still existed. Obviously Dave and Buster's is a thing, but it's just not the same as I want to see arcade cabinet after cabinet of the older stuff and the little Galaxy shooters, and that's the kind of spaces I would like to
that would
experience
be a great
more.
space, yeah.
But before we go to our little commercial break here, just tell me about what is a game that you really like that maybe you'd like to see other people in this space pick up or you haven't introduced yet, anything like that just sticks out to you as a gamer?
See, for me personally, the games I enjoy are those ones that remind me of my childhood. Right now, I'm obsessed with the Metroid games. I'll go back and play all those retro games. So it's fun, especially for, again, that younger generation didn't grow up with those games earlier. Going back and exploring some of those classic games are always something I just think is fun, and everyone should try finding one of those games and picking them up.
For me, I go back to a main couple. So Pokemon, I'll pick it up once in a while.
Yep,
and
same.
then it drops and then it just drops off, forget about it. Fire Emblem, if you've ever seen, that's one of the Nintendo strategy games. That's a big one for me. And I always am so into wanting to play it, and then I get to play it, and I just like the characters a lot. And then I get to the game, and I'm like, maybe I should just focus on the characters and not play the game so much. So I get a little lost in the story and all that craziness. But there's definitely just a little something for everyone when it comes to games, regardless of where you're coming from or what your level of interest in even technology is. You got the one touch wonders, then you're touching every button on that controller to get that perfect combo for that fighting game. But when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about just what it means to be in the queer community and like games, and just the whole spectrum of what you offer at Rock. So stay with us. We'll be right back. And we are back. Now, Bill, since you said you've been playing games since the dawn age of pixels, maybe here. Yeah. Sorry to date you a little bit, but actually, pixel art is one of my favorite when it comes to games. Yeah. So not a jab there at all. But just tell me about how you've seen games evolve, not just mechanically or what's built behind the console itself, but just with representation with queer spaces or just any space that you've seen that you're really taking an interest in.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, there really wasn't any representation. I think the biggest thing I can think of was an obscure fact from like Birdo from like
I love Birdo.
Yeah,
Birdo's my favorite.
Technically, like identifies as a woman, but was a boy.
And the manual like misgenders Birdo, which is kind of for the original manual.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and like obscure facts like that. That was the representation. Now we're like in the day and age where like you can customize characters, customize romances. Like there's Baldur's Gate. You can romance like almost anyone. And so we've gone from like very little representation to all this freedom of choice and who you want to be with and who you want to play as, which, I mean, personally, it's always boggled my mind when I hear like pushback against that because I'm like, I really can't think of many games where you are forced to play
exactly.
one certain way or another. I mean, unless it is just like normally a heterosexual male straight character, and because that's normally the point of the game. But like those RPG games, like you can choose that content. You can also choose not to play that content.
Or just not the whole game entirely. But exactly like you said, like I'm going back to when I think about Fire Emblem, and they didn't bring, same-sex marriages, which is a big part of that game series in general for many of them, until like the second one in the 3DS era. And it just started with like one character for each gender. And like people were mixed in that community when it came to like how much they liked those characters and how they were written. But then fast forward to the Switch era, which is, a few years down the line. It feels like a few, but it's really longer than that. And almost every character in that game pretty much has like a romanceable, like dual-sided option, which is just, it brings variety. It brings a chance to choose it. You don't have to choose it, like you said. It's just, it's there. Even looking at Stardew Valley, like that's a very popular farming game. And I'm pretty sure they have their symphony stuff that comes down to Albany. I think it already happened at this point. But there's every single character you can either have friendship with or romance with. Just don't get caught cheating on the whole town, which is certainly possible. But I wouldn't know. I've played it to like the first fall in like year one, and then I get bored pretty quickly. But when it comes to back to the space that you have, just list out to me, the different nights that you offer. And, you mentioned the first Wednesday of the month, but either the free play or just the more organized sort of play that you do.
Yeah. I mean, the two most organized nights are the first Wednesdays of the month where we have Jackbox games. It's always a given. Also, if we have 5 Wednesdays in the month, that we make that kind of a tournament night. And it's not like a hardcore competitive tournament. It's like, we'll have Smash Bros. Or maybe a high score, and like we did a Donkey Kong or Pac-Man high score challenge. And I think for Halloween, because the last 5 Wednesdays was October, we did Zombies Ate My Neighbors. And you win a small prize, like maybe a gift card in there. It's not meant to be like competitive esports. It's about having fun. We have other nights throughout the month. We might have a board game night, a card game night. A lot of it is just kind of free play and see what people want to do that night.
Another thing I want to touch on is, and like you said, this is for friendships or relationships. It doesn't really matter. It's a whole jumbled up mess there. But when it comes to, when I think of like the dating apps, right, and I mentioned those before, you always see the ads where it's like the success stories and here's these 2 people. Could you say that like, or give me an example of, doesn't have to be a dating success story, but just friendships that have been made, maybe how people have come through and you've seen like groups form out of this?
Yes, I've seen groups form out. I mean, I know some people that have kind of met through this that are engaged now. So I'd say that's a success. I know personally, like people I consider like my closest friends, like my closest friend in the world, I would not have met if it was not for this night. He just walked in one night, we started playing a fighting game together, and we've been close friends ever since for like 7-8 years. So
we talked about fighting games a bit, but we didn't mention what's your favorite fighting game that either you're offered there or not, and then what's the main couple characters that you play?
So my favorite fighting game is Mortal Kombat, because that's the only one that I actually am somewhat decent in. Like I say, everyone plays Smash Bros. I am terrible at that game, but I'll play it for fun. In Mortal Kombat, I always like the Smoke character or, Noob Sabat. Those were the 2 that I'd always play, and I kind of don't play too often if I'm bringing that game into play because I don't want to, like, kick everyone's
scare everyone away.
Yeah, I want them to have a good time.
when I used to play games with my friends, I would play so much that I would beat them when they would come over because they would never play the game. But the moment I walked into a room where there was people who actually played, I would get beat because like they actually know and they've been around all these people who actually play. And then here I am with like, I play against CPUs and I'm just doing my best here.
Yeah.
But when like I said, Smash Bros was the one I played a lot. And when we think about, let's say, the queer community playing characters, you think of like men playing Princess Peach and Daisy or Zelda. And when I was a kid, I used to play on Melee, which was the GameCube one. I played Princess Peach a lot. Yeah. And of course, like Kirby and all that. But nowadays, Jigglypuff, which is, a very like feminine character. And then Ness, who's just a kid running around with like thunder and fire and everything. But those were like the characters I just liked a lot. I like this, we kind of mentioned like the small, in Smash Bros, there's a lot of flying around the stage, like the lightweight kind of characters compared to heavies. And heavies are just like big, like
Bowser.
Yeah, and I don't know. That play style doesn't seem as fun to me, but they are pretty tough when it comes to trying to win around the stage. Growth. So you mentioned that you had friends who started it before, and then now you've kind of taken over in a way. How in these years that you've been doing this have you seen it grown or expand, or what have you added since you've kind of taken over here?
We've kind of we did the Jackbox games is something I've started bringing back because we didn't do it for a while because we were sick after the pandemic. We did like constantly. I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to remember it. But we did it because a lot of people were missing that actually. And so that's something I'm making sure is happening is at regular nights. When we started, there weren't really the tournament nights. That kind of came out and about. We also try to kind of do themes for the month. Like this is family game night. So that's more focused on like board games you might like play like around with the family. So like last month was horror games. So we'll try to have something like that. But again, people normally end up just putting on Smash Bros anyway.
Yeah. I think it's nice to hear that though, that like with the family night and stuff like that, because a lot of people think as of as bars, it's more of like a tough place. And not saying that kids are walking in and just whatever. Not saying that, but it's just nice to hear it's more of the laid backness compared to like when you hear a name like Rocks, right? It's just like, and you see like I think of like my dad's toolbox, like that metal with like the bumped out look. That's like the background of Rocks. So like you think like this like tough like place, but it's just nice to hear that there's a spectrum, right, of just enjoying and using the space.
Yeah, Rocks certainly can be like that given the night or the event. They have a lot of variety in events.
And variety is the key word because I've seen some of those Facebook posts, and there's definitely a lot of entertainment depending on your age there. But what has made this rewarding? And not that you have to get into why the other people maybe step down, but why did you decide to keep doing this and make sure it goes on in this space?
Well, just like I said, I've made some lifelong friends that have mattered to me so much. I've had other people come up to me and say how much this night matters to them. How this is how they have met people. This is how they've made connections, how they have made friends. And this night continuing matters so much to them. So this is something like for my own personal reasons and for the people that like have said like how much this night matters, I want to keep this night going as long as possible.
You've talked about how video games specifically have been like the strongest thing here. And just give me again, having things like the card game nights and stuff like that, how that's worked or maybe not worked for you and how you'd like to see that maybe come into fruition or also like plans for what else you maybe would like to add to this space.
Yeah. I mean, the card games nights have turned into more of like casual card games like Cards Against Humanity. We just certainly would love to open it up to like more competitive, like Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, any kind of card games like that. If anyone's ever interested and wants to come down and play those, anytime they're welcome to. We'd love to have a dedicated night for that, but it's been way more casual, which is still fun. I'm having a great time with everyone. Everyone is. No one's telling me they're having a terrible time, at least.
From going to card tournaments myself, which I don't go too frequently, but I get like the itch. So like I'll go to a couple and then I'll stop for like 6 months. And what I saw recently is, there was one shop that they just started maybe a few months ago with doing card nights, and they really haven't been getting anyone coming in. And then I went to another place a little farther away that's been established, and they have a good crowd, but from what I've seen from the years I've been in the capital region and also when I used to live a little bit farther away in Montgomery County, the card game space is just a very like close knit in the sense that it's like the same people that go to them, and maybe they're not all friends or like very friendly because it's a competitive space, right? But they have their spots, they have their nights, they have their times, and they're going to keep that cycle going to get their their points to go to the tournament spaces and stuff like that. But you seem like you really have a place where it's really like what you make it works, and just because card games haven't worked up to now, that's totally fine, because obviously you've made this out to be, and you get people to come in, and it's a decent time. So if you had maybe just something you'd like to leave people who are watching this episode with, either just that there's this space where no matter how you feel about anything, like when it comes to sexuality or just how you want to see yourself in games, like this is the safe spot to play Princess Peach in your Super Smash or anything like that. A last note for anybody, now's that time for it. What would you like to add?
So I like Gamer to be a space that anyone is welcome. They can come in, play any kind of style they want. Princess Peach. I mean, personally, Mario Kart, my main is Princess Peach, golden Princess Peach, because she's shiny.
Isn't it? It's like pink gold.
Yeah, pink gold.
I only know because I wear rose.
Yeah. So anyone is welcome. Come tonight. Don't be afraid to approach us. I know personally, I'm always on the lookout because a lot of the people that come to Geek and Gamer Night or looking at it aren't typically the crowd that likes to be socially active out at the bar, might be a little nervous, a little like not knowing what to do in this space. So I'm always looking out in the bar, seeing like, okay, who's kind of new here? Who should I approach? I definitely hate it if I ever miss anyone and like don't know to come up to us because they're too scared, think we're too cliquey or too unapproachable. No, come up, talk to us. We love meeting new people. I love introducing people to the night and having maybe people become new regulars and new friends.
Yeah, that's me. I sit in the corner when I'm at an event. I don't know, when I don't have the mic in my hand, it's like the confidence kind of dwindles a little bit. But, But it's nice to see that you've been able to build this up. And before we head out, do you want to just plug anywhere where people can find out the information, or whether that's on the Rocks pages or your pages or...
Yeah, we have a Facebook page, Rocks Geek and Gamer Night. That's where I tend to post upcoming flyers and events, although I still have to post for our event next week, which I don't know if this will air before then, but it's a little drag show with Typhoid Mary's helping doing it, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out exactly, like I said in the beginning, we've built up a little pool of episodes right now. So we're trying to see like who's got like the most, like we've done a lot of like the weekend of like we play in a episode that we've done. So we've built like a backlog of a couple of esports episodes and stuff. So we'll see when they, which is a good thing. I can't complain. I'm happy that we've had such a variety of guests on, and we've been able to touch on everything from just what makes gaming important to you as a person and just sharing with the community and building a community, which is, what I like that this has become. So, So thank you very much, Bill, for taking some time out of your day to join me on this. And when this airs, we'll be sure to post it after. Well, it's going to air first, and then I post it because it goes on YouTube later. But if you're watching right now on our CTV app, thank you very much. And be sure to connect with Bill and everybody else, and we'll be around at one of these events. So thanks for watching today.